Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the show is Stephen Astro Boy Erceg, who just picked up a unanimous decision victory over David Dvorak at UFC 289. Mate, you have officially made it. You've gone from outside of the UFC, you're never gonna get a fight. The dream's never gonna happen. To now you're number 14 ranked in the world. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like the best thing, best quote I heard about it is like you spent like 10 years becoming an overnight sensation.
That's pretty bang on, mate, because I mean, even everyone in Perth, me particularly, but the whole of Australia knew you were well overdue for the UFC for about, I'd say about 2 years now that you've really like cleared everyone out. Ever since I would almost say that Cody Haddon fight, we were like, yep, Steven's there. It's just a matter of time. Can you divulge what actually happened? Because you had like 2 or 3 fights fall through. Was it visa issues?
I don't actually know what the visa issues were. The first one, I got told it was denied, but then as it turned out, it didn't actually get that far through the process. So I don't know what happened. The second time was just a timing issue. We applied for the visa as soon as I found out I had a fight, but the fight was too close. So the visa couldn't get processed in time. And then obviously after that, it was just Clayton pulled out because he was injured. So still don't know what happened, but it's sorted now. So it's all that matters.
Do you have an extensive criminal history or what?
Not as far as I know, but maybe I sleepwalk or something. Who knows?
It's weird that they don't give you any sort of reasoning whatsoever. And so you got nothing back.
When it gets denied, apparently they're supposed to. But again, it didn't actually get denied, so I don't know what happened. Yeah, it's an odd situation.
Would you obviously there's this like that old proverb of like the old Chinese farmer where you don't know if it's good or bad news yet. So when something bad happens, you always say maybe, because you're not going to know until you look back. Now, if we go back, Dana White Contender Series, you missed out. Devastating. That's the worst news in the world. You fast forward, mate, and you get to fill in on a pay-per-view card. You get the win. You pick up $50,000. You're now the 14th ranked flyweight in the world. Would you go back to your younger self even 2 years ago, a year ago, and go, Stephen, just chill out. It's going to be fine?
Yeah, for sure. I think I matured a lot over the couple of years that all this sort of stuff was going on, both physically and mentally. So I definitely made a bigger splash this way than I would have fighting on the Contender. So turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
What were you like mentally when those fights were falling through? Was it really getting to you, or were you like, nah, it's going to happen, I'm staying strong?
Obviously, it was very frustrating, and it was upsetting, but I've had a unique experience in my MMA career where I've had lots of setbacks and lots of like fights falling out and shows canceling and all sorts of stuff. So I feel like I've been like almost groomed into dealing with disappointment well.
Because I believe you were even in the crowd at the Dana White Contender Series. Like that's how close was that fight to happening?
I mean, yeah, literally I could get into the country. I just couldn't get a working visa. So, yeah, I watched the fights. I actually watched the fights the week before. I watched Shannon Ross fight the week before. But yeah, it is hard being in the arena, and then because of like bureaucracy and that sort of thing, it's like you can't fight, but you can be there. It's frustrating.
Very weird situation. But look, your first fight, you get to be on a pay-per-view card, and seeing Dana White Contender Series, at least you were around it. You've obviously been at your Hexes and Eternals in Australia, and then now at a UFC pay-per-view card. How does it all sort of differentiate?
I think they just roll out the red carpet a little bit more for you. So for Eternal, I mean, that feels like a big event, big show. Like you're still signing posters, you still got media around. It's a big stadium, so it feels like a big show. But yeah, the UFC just do like little things, like they shuttle you around, they sort your food for you, they do all these extra little things that make you feel like you're important.
Did more people talk to you after you won? Like, was it a little bit more like you're like, oh, I'm a big deal now? Like, does it feel like that?
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's a lot of people hanging around at the fighter hotel throughout the week, and I got a couple of photos here and there. But after the fight, I come back and people have pictures of me that they want me to sign and all sorts of stuff. So it was kind of weird. And I got recognized on the street a lot more. So it did feel like I made it, if that's how you want to say it.
Where does your mind fit on the not the fame side of it? I mean, because like you're not exactly in the fight game for fame, but getting noticed for your craft, does it sit up there high for you?
Yeah, I would definitely want to be recognized as technical and tough, by my peers more so than anybody else. So I don't care so much that the random people are gonna tell me if I'm good or bad, but like people that I respect, so other fighters and that sort of thing. Definitely looking for their approval, I guess.
And I mean, you fought a ranked guy, you beat a ranked guy. Now, every fighter thinks he's the best in the world, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. But was there a little bit of you that went, holy shit? Like I just beat a ranked guy in my first fight.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as you said, I think I'm on that level. I have for a long time, but to actually like get out there and be validated and like, oh man, I just beat this guy on the feet when nobody said I could, and he's number 10 in the world. Oh, I just took this guy down, and but like all that jazz, like it definitely. I don't know if it's fully sunk in, but it's definitely a bit surreal.
And how did it feel when that fight even gets thrown your way? Is that almost a bit of confidence because you're like, oh, the UFC must think I'm at least at that level to step up to take that fight?
I honestly think they just wanted to fill the card. They had a fight that they wanted a fighter that needed a fight, and they're like, oh, let's see if this kid will take it. And I assume they expected me to get mollywopped, but yeah, I don't think, I think I'm the toughest guy in the division, so I'm going to take on anybody, and obviously I came out best this time.
I mean, we go from literally 6 months ago, I'm asking which flyweight's going to maybe get you to the UFC. You now are in that realm where, mate, like a couple more fights and you can fight for the belt. Like, how has your sort of plan changed in terms of a year or 2 years in the future? Do you think you're 1 or 2 fights away from a title? Do you think you're going to have to put a 10-fight win streak together? Like, how do you envision this going forward?
In my head, I think if I get three fights and I have solid performances, so I don't think 3 decisions will do the job, but 3 fights, at least 2 finishes, and then I'll fight for the title after that. That's my thoughts.
And in terms of the actual fight, was there when we went to the judge's decision, did you go, yeah, no, I definitely, I won all 3 rounds, or where were you in your head?
I thought I won the second and the third, and I thought the second was the most obvious. The third one was a bit closer. Like I thought I controlled the stand up and the ground, but he did get me down at one point. So I was confident, but then again, I've seen too many bad decisions by the judges to be too confident in the fact that I won the fight. So.
And are you critical of your performances, or like, have you gone away? Have you watched the tape, and what's your big takeaways from it?
Maybe too critical sometimes. Lots of stuff on the feet that I thought need improving. Like even just the jab alone. Like I have like 4 or 5 notes on how I could improve the jab and set off the jab, let alone the rest of the striking. And then just decision making on some of the submission attempts and that sort of thing. Like I get away with jumping on guillotines and all that sort of stuff against lower level competition, but these guys are a little bit better everywhere. So I got to make sure that I got to really make sure that my positioning is at the forefront of my mind and not finishing it right now.
You do actually have a tremendous guillotine. I just had PTSD flashbacks. We grappled once and you grabbed me in it. And I was like, I remember rolling. I'm like, I'm about to roll with a flyweight. This is like years ago. I'm like, I could just muscle him. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So like the way that you grab that chin strap. So I'm very much looking forward to you just displaying all of that. Where do you think you shine the most in the cage? Because you're just from my point of view, I think your cardio is second to none.
Yeah, I've always thought my cardio is a big weapon. There was a couple fights, like the Cody fight, that I was like, oh, maybe I'm not as fit as I thought I was. And I have somebody in my gym, Richie, who is also a cardio machine. So I am not always the fittest person in the gym, which is good because it makes me work so hard. So, to see myself against somebody who has finished over a lot of his opponents because of his cardio, and I finished over him. I took a lot of confidence from that.
And speaking of Cody Haddon and some of the other opponents that you fought, now that you're in the UFC and you fought a ranked guy in the UFC, is there anyone that you fought coming up in your career that you think they can make it to this next level?
I think Australian MMA has some really good talent. So Sean Gauci, I think could definitely make a run. Cody Haddon, obviously. And that's all that comes to mind at the moment. Obviously, Shannon Ross is already there, so we'll see what he does in his next fight. But they're three that I'd say could definitely do some good things.
And your team, obviously Wilkes Martial Arts, how good does it feel to be, you really are the face of that gym, and to carry it to, similar to how Jack Della did with Scrappy MMA, you're doing it with Wilkes. Can you put into words what it feels like to essentially pay back all the investment they've had in you?
Yes. Great. Like that, again, as you said, like they put a lot of time into me. I couldn't be here without them. So, to give them, more than anything, just give them that, like those experiences, right? Take them over. They get to be in the corner at like a UFC event. They get to like feel the whole atmosphere. They get to watch the fight. Like, yeah, I'm very happy that I can give them those experiences, and I'm hoping that I can give them some even better ones in the future.
Now, moving forward, what is there a guy that you really want to fight next? I know that you said anyone, anytime, as long as it's at UFC Sydney, but is there an actual fighter that you think, man, I'd love to get in the cage with them?
Yeah, I'd like to fight Matt Schnell. He's a exciting fighter. He has good scrambles, good striking, and he walked out to my Walkout song a while ago. So we can't have that. We're gonna have to battle for who gets to keep it.
I actually like that. That's a good battle. I reckon you can put that in the contract. I reckon that is like a proper like.
I like.
Now,
there can only be one.
Now, what are you spending your $50,000 on, mate? Was that, first of all, take us through? You've just beaten a ranked guy in a UFC debut. That's good enough. And then they turn around and go, here's $50,000.
Yeah, I was like very shocked. I thought that because it was late notice, that if I got a finish, there's a good chance that they give me a bonus. But nobody gets a bonus, $50,000 for if you don't either have fight of the night or a performance or a finish. Sorry. So I was definitely shocked. Super thankful, very appreciative. And as far as what I'm going to spend it on, I'm going to be super boring. I'm going to pay off my house, and then we'll think about all the fun stuff when that's paid off.
Oh, I mean, well, you're gonna have plenty more performances of the night, so you got heaps. Yeah, mate. Like before I just I let you go with it. I just I don't know. It's so good to see you from you were almost disregarded in Perth mixed martial arts, not just Australia, then the world. Now you're the 14th ranked flyweight. What would you tell yourself when you're, 2 fights into your career, or you're just starting your professional career, the loss to Sean Gauci? Like, what would you tell yourself to get you to this moment?
Just stay on the horse, I guess. Just make sure you rock up to training every day. Continually be critical of your skills to find different ways to improve, that sort of thing. It's hard, but it's not complicated how to get to this position, right? And second of all, can you write down a list of all the people that you said disregarded me in Perth? I need to have a chat with them.
Okay. Me. I did it real early on, mate. Real early on. I was like, I don't know about Steven Erceg, and now I got to eat my hat. That's why I brought it here, so I can eat my hat. But no, I was also there when you got signed, remember? So yeah. we shared that moment at Eternal. So
perfect. I'll go off.
Mate, well, look, thanks for taking the time. I honestly, you're one of the nicest guys in MMA, and I've never seen everyone so unanimously behind someone and happy for someone. So congratulations. Enjoy the moment. You've now made it, and the hard work begins.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Take it easy, brother.